Hello there. Today I will be sharing thoughts on the Edgic for this second episode of Survivor. If you don't know what the Edgic is, I will link a great article from Inside Survivor in the description explaining it all. I will go through each player and give my thoughts on their edit from episode 2, winning chances, and whether I consider them a contender to win. Visibilities are determined by how much they are on screen, how many confessionals they have, and if they receive any SPV. Our eliminated player this episode was Voce. Voce was not very complex this episode, as most of his screen time centered around wanting to take out Tiffany to keep the tribe strong. He was shown positively at tribal, which I think gives him enough tone to give him a positive rating. Overall he ends with a middle-of-the-road positive rating. Brad was shown to have a very one-note episode this week, getting shown running to the water well and spying on JD and Ricard. Ricard and Shan both know he spied at the well, and Shan questions whether she can trust Brad, which is not a great look in the edit for him. Brad wasn't particularly negative or positive this week, so he receives an over-the-top rating. Brad is near eliminated for me, as I have a hard time seeing the winner not get more content than what he has so far. Danny was hardly shown at all in this episode. Last week Danny had a lot of screen time, but it was mostly just narration, and this week Danny is almost invisible. Danny receives an under-the-radar rating this week, and he takes a big hit to his winning chances. Deshawn had good focus this episode, unlike most of the Luvu tribe. He was shown attempting to make fire for his tribe, potentially foreshadowing him in the final 4 fire-making challenge. He also got a positive scene while on the prisoner's dilemma twist, which gives us personal content for Deshawn. Deshawn receives an over-the-top positive rating this episode, bumping up his winning chances from last week, but I still am looking for more in Deshawn's edit. Erika, like Danny, was another in the Luvu tribe who got next to no screen time this episode. After a quiet episode 1, it's hard to see Erika winning at this point, but time will tell for her. Erika receives an under-the-radar rating this week. Evvie had the biggest edit of anyone this week, following up her large edit from the last week. She was shown to be in control of the vote on the Yace tribe, with people like Xander and Liana completely trusting her. She explained her strategy of the vote by working with the women, and also her strategy of telling Deshawn about the idol, and her plan to vote out Xander. One knock against her this week is that she was planning to vote out Xander, but was swayed by Tiffany to vote out Voce. She ends this week with a complex personality rating, and I would not consider her to have one of the highest chances. Her edit is massive in the first 2 episodes, so I have doubts that they would give the winner this much screen time, but time will tell whether she cools down in the edit or not. Genie did not have much this episode. After a relatively quiet first episode followed up by a near-invisible second, Genie's winning chances are looking quite bad. Genie receives an under-the-radar rating this week. Heather, again, was hardly shown this week. After an extremely quiet premiere, Heather is the least likely to win at this point. She receives an under-the-radar rating this week. JD got some focus this week, but no confessionals to back it up. He was spied on and doubted by Brad, and after last week being called out by Ricard, it isn't a great look for JD's edit. JD's chances take a hit after this episode, and he receives an under-the-radar rating this week. Liana got a lot of focus in this episode, increasing compared to last week. She gave many thoughts on the vote this week, and was again shown that she was a close ally of Evvie. Naming a duo in the edit is good for her and Evvie's games, and being on the right side of the vote is good for her. One knock against Liana is her saying that voting out Voce was idiotic, but still voting to send him out anyways. However, Liana is looking good in the edit, and I would give her a complex personality rating this week. Naseer was shown positively this week, as opposed to his more mixed edit in episode 1. He had positive SPV from Sydney, and had personal content from his home in Sri Lanka, which is a positive for his edit. We haven't heard much from Naseer about his game or his alliances, but Naseer has solid screen time thus far. Until we get some game focus from him, I can't say he rises above the middle of the pack, and he receives an over-the-top, positive rating this week. Ricard had a drop in screen time this week, as did most of the UR tribe, but still had some focus. He was spied upon by Brad, but was told by Shan, which is a good look for him. He also named his duo with Shan, which is good for both of their edits. Ricard receives a middle of the road this week. Building on last episode's positive personal content, he has a solid edit with good potential later on. Shan got a quieter episode this week, but was still shown on the UR tribe, which was all she needed to receive. Brad told her that he spied on JD and Ricard, showing that he trusts her, and Ricard also named her as his closest alliance, establishing a duo which is positive for her edit. As it stands, Shan has the highest chance to win, and receives a middle-of-the-road rating this week. Sydney got some focus this week, and remains consistent from last week as a narrator on her tribe. I see Sydney's screen time this season so far as unnecessary, which is a good thing for her. We have personal content from her last episode, and she was the one who narrated the tribe dynamics this episode. Sydney receives a middle-of-the-road rating, with a solid chance to win. Tiffany had a large edit this week, and it was not all positive. She was shown to be all over the place this episode, getting negative SPV from her tribe, which is bad for her edit. Getting so much negative screen time is also bad for her. One good thing for her is that she wanted Voce out, and her tribe listened, but the rest is not looking good. She receives an over-the-top negative this week, taking a huge hit to her winning chances, but she's not eliminated just yet. Xander is someone who has a lot of situational screen time this season, both in episode 1 and 2. He again has many uncomplex confessionals this episode, mostly just narrating his advantages. He is also shown being on the wrong side of the vote against Tiffany, which is not good for his edit. He receives a middle-of-the-road rating this week, with some potential to win, but it isn't looking likely to me. My contenders this week are Shan, Liana, Sydney, and Ricard. At this point, Shan is by far the best chance to win in my eyes, but there are others to still watch out for. Those are my thoughts on the Edgic this week, and I look forward to seeing how the edit progressed with the cast this season. Thanks for watching.